All right, here we go. The first kind of proper team selection of 2025. Let's get into it. Just quickly before we do get into it, all merch still available. I just did a big send-off today, so thank you if you had bought a t-shirt or a hat or a hoodie. I really appreciate it. Links down below, best way to support the channel. Now, let's talk about this extended team selection because it's a Sunday game. On a cold, rainy, wet Sunday, we take on the GWS Giants, and we've named our first squad for 2025. Now, like I just said, it's an extended bench because it's a Sunday's game, so that'll get narrowed down, and then the tactical sub will come out 60 minutes prior to the first bounce. So if you want to keep up to date, jump over to my Instagram, always posting on there. Classic 24/7 thing with the pies. But what we'll do is we'll go through our lineup. We'll talk a little bit about the Giants lineup as well. So right off the top of the bat, we have two club debutants. Harry Perryman plays against his former side. He's been named on the wing. Like I said, not going to play in the defense unless we sort of need him, and that is a tantalizing prospect. I reckon I've used tantalizing. I think that's my word of the year, but it is tantalizing because the Giants used him as a half-backer when he was in the midfield at the Giants. He absolutely smashed it. I expect more of the same. Again, with these sort of positions, expect them to change because we know that they love throwing around the magnets. We've got Will Hoskin-Elliott at full forward and stuff like that. So they love throwing around the magnets. But Perryman debuts and Tim Membry debuts, the skunk. So the triple M's, which you voted for, that's what we're going to be calling him for him here on in, will be playing. Now, it's a little bit. I had a friend, Daz, if you're watching this, mate. He said he probably wouldn't play McStay because it's going to be wet, because it's going to be a little bit rainy, and I totally understand that. And when he told me, I would go, oh, that kind of makes a little bit of sense, doesn't it, right? But they have named him, confident in his knee that it sort of will hold up and stuff, and touch wood, obviously nothing bad is going to happen. But it does give you a little bit to sort of pause and sort of think about that. But we're going to have the Triple M's lining up against a pretty depleted GWS side. So what we'll do is we'll go through Collingwood's team. There's no real notable sort of players because there's no ins and outs, right? So no one's had a bad game yet or anything sort of like that. But the absentees, we know Mason Cox is injured. Jordan De Goey is at least a week away. I dare say he plays against Port Adelaide because he's been smashing it in the practice matches at match sim and stuff like that, at training. Tom Mitchell, more than a few weeks off. And Dan Houston isn't playing because he's been suspended when he was playing for Port Adelaide. That hit on Rankin. So this will be his suspension. He has a club debut against Port Adelaide next week. Now, the back line is pretty sound. We've got Reef McInnes down back, which we knew was going to happen. So thankfully, like I said in my preview, it's not going to be a baptism of fire. So he's going to have not an easy sort of backline debut, but he's not going to go up against Jesse Hogan like what Charlie Dean did last season, which absolutely annihilated Dean. In the center, Perryman, Pendles, and Lipper. The forward line is where all the money is made. Like I said, we've named Will Hoskin-Elliott as our full forward. Jack Crisp, as a follower, plays his 250th game. Now, the extended bench is what I really want to sort of talk about. So, Markov, Steele, Jamie Elliott, Membry, Allen, Long, Parker, Frampton. Now, we know that only 4 of those 8 can play. I dare say it's going to be Markov for the speed, side bottom Elliott, Membry, and then the 23rd, I reckon it'll be Ed Allen as the sub. I actually don't mind that if Ed Allen is the sub. I can't see Long, Parker, and Frampton sort of getting that game at the moment, especially definitely not Billy Frampton, because there's no real sort of need for another big back down there. It could be out of Parker as well, because I've really loved what Parker has done this preseason. He's really impressed me, starting to grow into his body as well. But I think Ed Allen sort of gets the nod because out of all the youngsters, he's the one that has stood up to me the most in these preseason trainings and in these match simulation games. I think this is a very strong lineup. There's Pippa, my brother's dog, because I'm on location at the moment. You'll see Poppy running around. I think this is a very strong lineup. And then next week we'll talk about who's going to get dropped for these players. But I think this is a really strong lineup. There hasn't been any selection surprises, so that's always sort of good. But then if you look over the flip side and look over to the Giants' squad, they've got 3 debutants. So Cody Angove, Oliver Hannaford, James Leake. So they've got 3 debutants playing in this game. They've got Lockie Keefe in the forward line because we know that there's no Jesse Hogan, there's no Tom Green, and there's no Jake Stringer. So Lockie Keefe, wasn't that one game where he just absolutely annihilated us, sort of came from the clouds. And I think he did it in a final as well where he just was... just played really well. So he's going to be that sort of spanner in the works to sort of look out for. And of course, Cadman there as well. I think the Giants side, definitely not their strongest side. They're even missing Riccardi because he's got a suspension, an AFL suspension from the muck-up day, the dress-up day or whatever you sort of want to call it. If there's any time for the Giants to be gettable, it's now, right? I dare say Aaliyah will play as that sort of backman as well. There's no Connor Brown. There's no Callum Brown. And Callum Brown is one of those anomalies where he could have a good game, could have a bad game. So he's still injured. I think that these guys are gettable. Look, going off what I'm seeing just on paper, and that's all you can sort of go off. On paper, our team just surpasses the Giants team. And again, not saying to take the Giants lightly because Kelly Ward, O'Halloran, dangerous. They've got, Toby Green, of course, their captain. It's just that their forwards, Daniels, Jones, Cadman, Keefe, I think our backmen really can have the wood over them. And if you look at their backmen when they're going up against our forwards, Sam Taylor was monstered last week against Carlton. So I could see McStay having an absolute feast on him. Whitfield, he's not going to sort of line up one-on-one against anyone. He kind of does what we do. And like I said, they play the exact same sort of game system where it's just run off the half-back, bit of kamikaze football. So I think these guys are really, really gettable. I rate our squad based on this, 8.75 out of 10. Next week is going to be even stronger. But I'm just interested to see how our 3 sort of big key forwards go up against a semi-depleted GWS squad. Because, I don't know, especially in the rain, trusting big men in the rain, because you've got to think you've got Darcy Cameron as well there. So you've got 4 big men. That's why they're definitely not playing Frampton. Cox, they probably wouldn't have played either, I wouldn't say. So I really like this lineup. I really like what we're doing. And I couldn't improve this lineup even if I wanted to. I couldn't improve this lineup with the injuries that we have and with the young kids that we have. I think this is, horses of courses, our strongest lineup that we can get. And I really like it. I cannot wait for Sunday. I am chomping at the absolute bit. Let me know down below, do you like this lineup? What do you think is sort of going to happen? What do you think of the Giants? In naming 3 debutants this early on in the season, they're ripe for the picking. What else can I say? They are absolutely ripe for the picking. But let me know your thoughts down below. Until then, buy some merch, like, comment, subscribe, tell your family, tell your friends, tell your pets. And until next time, Double Shackers, I'll swoop you later.